What up? It's Kev Lou with Fantasy Facts Machine here with George the Truth Factory Fuchs. We have made it to week 6 of the fantasy football season. And as discussed last week, some of us have some pretty big holes in our lineups. So, we just wanted to discuss some players who are on the fringe, might save your season at the running back position, or, maybe you can trade for or trade away. So we're going to talk about some key running backs who are kind of having some average seasons, but might turn it up. So, George, let's start off with Latavius Murray on the Baltimore Ravens. He's sprinkled in a couple touchdowns here and there, but he seems to have a ceiling. What do you think about him moving forward?
He frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah, me too.
And not in a personal attack on Latavius by any means, but when you're splitting carries with Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell getting touches last week and possibly Tyson Williams coming back, I just see so little value in having him at this point that if you can trade him or get value for him, I would 100% do that. But trying to actually add him to your team does not seem like a sound move right now.
Yeah. So if he's on the waiver wires, and I'm in some positions where, I got lucky last week and Herbert was there, but the week before that I had Latavius in my lineup and he got me 3 points and I lost by 1 point.
Sure, but he got 13 this week. So it's just
right.
Latavius, he could be a guy that you can plug in. You can't. You literally cannot trust him. And he needs to be a guy that you're literally only playing if you have no other options, which saddens me because he's been on my bench the entire year and we've been forced to play him several times. But that's what it is.
Last game, this past weekend, 9 carries, 44 yards, and I think he had 1 touchdown. It seems like that's about his ceiling. I'm sure there's a game where he may get 2 touchdowns, but I don't think he's going to get much more than 60 yards in a game.
Yeah, he's marginal, I think, at best. So.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. How about Mark Ingram, who was given 18 carries this week, 17 carries last week?
That's wild, right? Houston's bad. Really bad. Yeah. And I guess Lindsey and Johnson are not getting nearly as many touches as you thought. So I guess if Ingram is their lead back, then you have to at least look at him as a plausible starter. It's also one of those teams that's going to be stuck. Apologize for the terminology, but they're going to be losing every single week. So how often are they going to be running the ball, right? Like Davis Mills is going to be putting up more numbers than Mark Ingram, right?
For sure. I'm sure in a perfect world for them, Mark Ingram would run the ball every play and he'd have 250 yards and 3 touchdowns.
It's not Alabama though.
Right.
This is Houston. This is AFC South football. He had a great game yesterday. No doubt about it. But a lot of that was script. We talk about all the time. That was game script. There was a reason he had that game. And again, much like Latavius, I definitely think Ingram has a higher upside. I think Ingram will get more touches. I don't think he has to share the ball nearly as much, but it's limited. And
yeah, I had him on my team to start the season, and I was excited after the first week, and that didn't last very long. And this seems to be the second time that he's done something since the first week.
Sure.
How about A.J. Dillon on the Packers, who was a preseason favorite for a lot of people? They thought he was going to have a big season, and he's starting to show a little something.
Listen, they're definitely not splitting carries. Aaron Jones is still getting the bulk of them, but every time A.J. Dillon touches the ball, you love it. He's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
That guy moves the chains. He's not really a receiving back, which is frustrating. I think he had 11 carries yesterday. But every time he touches it, you're like, this guy can just break a 20, 30, 40-yard run.
Yeah.
He's not the most explosive guy, but he's powerful. He's going to be in that lineup because for football purposes, they really like using him.
Right.
But again, fantasy-wise, his upside somewhat limited, as opposed to the 2 guys we just talked to, probably even more so because he's definitely in a sharing backfield.
Yeah, and the surprising thing about the Packers, which I would not have guessed heading into the season, is they really haven't been blowing anybody out. You would think if they were blowing someone out, A.J. Dillon's going to come in and get himself, 80, 90 yards and a touchdown in the second half, but they just haven't shown that ability to blow out the weaker teams yet.
No, they've been blown out once, and everything else has been relatively close, right?
Right.
So they're a good team. But Aaron Jones is a bona fide stud. You're never going to take away carries from him unless you have to, and that's what Dillon is stuck with. I think Dillon is a guy, if you're in a league that has keepers, a league that's a dynasty league of sorts, AJ is somebody you hold on to for a while, but this year his upside, unless Aaron Jones gets hurt,
right? Yeah, I love Aaron Jones. Okay, so how about Josh Jacobs, Raiders? He was almost top tier running back heading into the season, but he hasn't put up I'm pretty sure he hasn't put up a 100-yard game. I don't think he's got too many touchdowns.
He's had a couple of injuries for sure. Drake vultured 2 touchdowns yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily vultured because one of them I'm pretty sure was a receiving touchdown.
He had a nice reception.
Yeah. But Jacobs is what he is, right? Like he's a good running back.
There's guys on the Raiders that swear he's the best running back they've ever seen. I've heard it with my own ears. And that's something that coming into the season, these guys were saying, he runs harder than anybody they've ever played with. And
he might run harder, but if you don't have that extra burst, it doesn't seem he has all that often. It's hard to actually prove that. So I think Josh Jacobs is a very solid RB 2.5.
So he's in your lineup every time if you have him on your roster.
He has to be. Yeah. Because where you drafted him at this point in the season, it's not one of those things where you're just being stubborn. It's one of those things where you probably don't have a better option. And it's okay if Josh Jacobs is your RB2 or your flex. Like, it's not the best possible situation, but you could be in a lot worse shape, and it's okay. And it's very interesting to see what's going to happen with Oakland now, right? Like, I apologize, with Las Vegas now.
Las Vegas.
With Gruden leaving, how's that offense going to change? Are they going to resort more to running the ball? Are they going to start just airing it out like crazy? Like Ruggs had a hell of a game yesterday. Like, we're not really sure, but Jacobs is a play. He's a play every single week. So
yeah, I think Jacobs is a guy that if the Raiders kind of start hitting their stride like they did yesterday against Denver, he could pick up a lot of second half yardage that he was not really picking up earlier in the season.
And honestly, he might be a guy that you can buy low on right now. People aren't necessarily thinking he's a game changer by any means. Somebody be looking to trade him. You could probably get him for decent value right now in a lot of trades. So yeah, maybe we're looking to add Josh Jacobs right now.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. My last guy on this list is Melvin Gordon, who was a stud in the first week. This last week was the first time since week 1 that Jevonte Williams had more carries than him. It was only 1 more carry, but it kind of signified, the Broncos maybe leaning towards the rookie running back a little more. What do you think?
I'm the biggest Jevonte Williams proponent on the planet. I love the guy. I drafted him in every single possible league I could have. I think he's explosive. I think he's...
And you held? Diamond hands?
Man, he's incredible. He generally, every time he touches the ball, you're like, there's a decent chance this goes for 30 yards. And that's saying something because there's not all that many guys in the league that can do that.
Melvin Gordon can also break off a 30-yard run.
But what's going to happen with Denver, right? Like, they started 3-0. They lost their last 3. They're making Teddy into be more than a game manager, which he never should be.
Right.
Like, if their season goes south, I expect Jevonte Williams, which it very well could, by the way. That division is tough. I expect Jevonte Williams to start getting more and more and more carries.
Yeah.
And he's explosive, whether he's catching the ball, whether he's running the ball. Melvin Gordon is what he is.
He used to be explosive catching the ball and running the ball.
He was, but he's always had those fumble issues.
Yeah.
Listen, if he's there, if you have to play him, you play him. But I definitely prefer Jevonte to Melvin at this point.
Got it. Any other running backs you have your eye on that are kind of might be sleepers for people to watch out for? Herbert was a guy this week, obviously, that helped a lot of people out.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that we talked about last week, right? Like, so Devontae Booker got all the carries, didn't do much with them.
Right.
Derrick Williams had 2 touchdowns, right?
Yep.
Out of the guys that are on the waiver wire, I really don't know. Like, Ahmed on Miami's getting a bunch of carries all the time.
Yeah.
But is he really somebody you're going to pick up?
Yeah.
And he's going to change your season? Probably not.
I'm going to vote no on that one for sure. Dolphins running backs, I'm staying away from.
Yeah, Dolphins.
For the next 10 years.
Outside of Jalen Waddle for life, we're staying away from a lot of Dolphins players at this point. You choose based on matchups, you choose based on week rankings, but right now, the guys that we mentioned, you have a chance to add them for free. Absolutely add them. You have a chance to trade them or trade for them. You consider it, but at this point, you're kind of figuring out what your team is going to be. So unless you're making a major trade, unless you're doing it, you're kind of resigned to your fate. So don't do that. Do something that will change your team's fate this year.
There's no reason to pick up guys that can't play.
Try to get Jevonte Williams is what I'm saying.
Good luck. Yeah, so that's it. Just talking about some running backs. If you have any other running backs you think that we might have slept on, let us know. And we'll be back. We'll talk about wide receivers on the next episode. Good luck in your season. We're starting to hit that corner where if you don't have wins, you got to start putting up some wins. So good luck. This is George, the Truth Factory Fuchs. I'm Kev, Let's Get Lucky Lou, and we are the Fantasy Facts Machine. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the alert. Thanks a lot. Peace. Set up my squad, wake up and pray. Turn on the tube, don't believe what they say. Get out my way, I got sleepers to play. Shooting my shot and I seen who you waved. You waving the flag, I'm just chasing the bag. Almighty special, we taking it back. Doing our dance while you blaming the draft. I'm a machine, just stating the facts. I'm a machine, just stating the facts. I'm a machine, just stating the facts. I'm a machine, just stating the facts.